What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2009 Saab 9.3 TurboX. Up front is a 2.8-liter turbocharged V6, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Saab 9.3 TurboX for two reasons. First of all, I have deemed 2025 the year of the Saab. This is now my third Saab review that I've done, and I'm not stopping here, but this is the flavor of the day. The second reason is that this vehicle is, I would say, pretty decently modified. It has a bigger turbo, a tune, and a lot of goodies to go with it to make this quite a bit different than a stock vehicle. So I'm very excited to share all of that with you today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you would like to see my videos weeks or sometimes months before they're released here on YouTube, you can head on over to my Patreon, which is $5 a month for all the early access. But let's get back to that 2.8-liter V6 turbo under the hood. Well, that's actually the stock factory engine that came in this Saab 9.3. The upper trims, the aero trims especially, came with V6 turbos, and they're fantastic, but they're detuned from the factory. The reason for this is actually the Swedish government puts a higher tax on vehicles with higher horsepower. So they detuned them from the factory and sent them over here to avoid paying extra taxes. So a quick flash tune will give you almost 60 horsepower in a vehicle like this. However, the owner has taken it a step further and added a larger turbo, and of course the supporting mods to go with it. And the cherry on top is that this car now runs on E85. Now, we don't have any dyno numbers to show you because this car hasn't been on the dyno, but my butt dyno would say that it's a healthy mid 400s, and I'm very happy with that. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. There are some light mods done to it, clutch and things like that, but nothing out of this world. It shifts really, really nice, a very confident feel into each gate, and that's kind of what I looked for. Last but not least, this car is all-wheel drive, which is very different from the Saab 9.3 Aero that I drove earlier this year that was only front-wheel drive. This is all-wheel drive, which is really, really cool. It's an all-wheel drive turbo V6 manual. How special is that? How does it feel to drive the Saab 9.3 TurboX? Well, around town, driving, shifting, it feels pretty good. It is on aftermarket suspension, so the ride is bouncier than normal, but let's be honest. This car isn't built for driving around town to Menards or Chick-fil-A or Jewel. No, that's not what this car is for. All right, the owner told me he wants me to beat on it. So we're gonna try second gear. It's already popping like Pop Rocks. Let me just get a good line of sight here. Oh man, that V6 paired with that turbo, I mean, it leaves nothing on the table. It gives you everything immediately. Oh man, it's rich. It's deviant. It's nasty. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Oh man, someone pissed in this car's Cheerios this morning, but I ain't mad. I hope all that popping comes across on the camera. with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 main gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and off to the right is my coolant temperature, fuel, and turbo pressure. Now, the owner has modified these gauges, swapped the colors, and used parts from a Saab 9.5 and other vehicles. He also added an OBD sensor that actually gives you really, really cool information down below, so I can monitor what the all-wheel drive system is doing. I can take a look at my AFR and really cool things like that. Again, this is a modified part, but something very, very cool. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have that info button for that modified OBD info, as well as our phone options. And off to the right, we have our volume and skip track. To the left, where we would normally have a really weird climate vent, we actually have a glow shift boost gauge. And down below, we have our fog lights and headlight settings. On the door, we have our power mirrors up top, lock and unlock, and power windows down below. Nothing new there. Moving into the center, we have more climate vents and our radio/infotainment system. This is kind of a dressed up version of the GM radio we got in vehicles like the Silverado and the Chevy Cobalt, so kind of funny to see a Swedish twist on it. And off to the left, we have our gauge dimmer switch and night panel, which, because this has the OBD plug-in, it doesn't say night panel, it says stealth mode, which I think is just the coolest thing in the whole wide world. Down below that, we do have our OnStar, because GM did own Saab during this era. OnStar is a GM feature, which is basically like roadside assistance, was very big in the 2000s. And we have a cup holder, so we'll do a big freaking bottle test. No Saab 9.3 has ever passed, and this one is no different. And then we have our climate controls. Dual zone, which is very nice to see. Fan speed and wear descendant in the center. And we also have heated seats. Then we have a cubby and 12-volt outlet and the shifter, of course, aftermarket shift knob, aftermarket carbon fiber style piece in the center. And this is where you find the ignition for the car, which was a Saab quirk. They put the ignition switches in the center. Kind of reminds you again of their fighter jet heritage. Armrest and the seats. These seats are comfortable, they are power, and they are heated, which I am pleasantly enjoying on this cold, cold morning. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a backseat review. There's something rattling in here that sounds like Tweety Bird, but besides that, we're in the back of the 9.3 Turbo X, and a couple of things to note. Knee room isn't fantastic. Headroom is fine. I fit back here. It's not any stretch or anything weird, which is very, very nice. But the seats themselves are very cushiony. I have vents back here, and I do have a center console. No cup holders, but the cup holders are actually found by my right kneecap popping out. So nice to see that in any regard. That's it. We're not here to talk about the back seat. We'll quickly talk about the trunk, but then we got to get back to driving this thing because it's the best. Right around the back of the Saab 9.3, popped it from inside, and there you go. That's the trunk. Nothing really too crazy. There you go. Did you get a good look? Did you get a good look? Okay, cool. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and obviously this car is wrapped. This car was originally silver, and I guess now is a good point to say that this actually isn't a true VIN number matching Turbo X. It has all of the Turbo X goodies, and mechanically is no different than a Turbo X, but it didn't come that way from the factory. And the reason I mentioned that with the exterior is that the Turbo X's actually only came in black, and this car was silver, but you could get a Turbo X package that was basically the same thing, and that's what this car is. Now, of course, it's been modified beyond that, but just to get that out of the way. I overall really like the look of this car. This is a slight facelift over the other Saab 9.3 Aero that I recently drove with the 2.8 turbo and manual, but I like it. I think it's aged really, really well. I think it's handsome and definitely stands apart from the GM counterparts that it might have shared some parts with, but this stood on its own 2 feet, and I really, really like that. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a modified Saab 9.3 Turbo X? Well, this experience has been absolutely lovely. This car, as you saw, is fast. It is a fast car. And while it took a lot of work to get there, it's also been really reliable, according to the owner. He said that he hasn't really had any issues with it, and that's fantastic to see. But through the giggles, through the smiles, through every blow-off valve noise, one single question keeps coming back. Why? Why on earth would you do this? For the amount of money that the owner has spent on this car, he could have bought a more proper sports car. Probably could have bought something that's faster. He probably could have bought something that's even more reliable, but he didn't. He spent his money on a 16-year-old Saab. Well, I think this car scratches a very important itch. The itch to be different. The itch to be unique. Ever since humankind hasn't had to look over their shoulder at the saber-toothed tiger, we've always wanted to do more. The reason most people travel in this world is just so they could tell people, hey, overseas they call this a boopity bop. And then all their friends go, oh wow, he's well traveled. Oh wow, that's different, that's unique, that's special. You can go out and you can buy a Subaru WRX. You put a rotated, bigger turbo onto it, a tune, and you call it a day. But everyone has done that. I've driven tons of those cars. And they're good, I'm not saying they're not, but it's not new. And it's hard in this world to do new things, to conquer new ideas that just haven't been flushed out yet. Well, that's the owner's goal with this car. He said the number one question he gets is, what the heck is that thing? And now, when I will be asked that question of, what the heck is that thing? I'm not going to respond with, oh, it's a Saab 9.3 TurboX clone with a bigger turbo and other goodies. I'm going to say it's a hoot, it's a holler, and it's just some downright good old-fashioned fun. Because it's not enough to increase the performance. You gotta stick out in the crowd these days, and that's exactly what this car does. It offers something that I don't get to experience all the time, and as someone whose main job it is to review cars, I review over 300 cars a year, it's hard to find something new. But this is new. This is like trying a deep-fried Twinkie for the first time, and the world starts to make a little bit more sense. This car can be civilized, but it doesn't really want to be. It wants to break the mold. It wants to be noticed. It wants you to punish it. It wants the attention. This car is a needy little boy. Mom, I want a cake. Mom, I want new Legos. Mom, I want Hot Wheels. And then you give it what it wants, and it still wants more. It's never ending. It's a bottomless bucket. It's bottomless fries at Red Robin. It's just the best, but it's a car that you can't really get bored with because of that. You don't do 3 or 4 polls and go, okay, I get it, I'm good. No, let's do another. It brightens your day. It makes you laugh. It makes you giggle. It makes you feel alive. And I do have to note, the all-wheel drive, it's very, very good. Through a corner, I mean, planted. Oh, what an absolute riot this car is. I would like to say more, but I really don't feel like I need to. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ahmad for letting me borrow his Saab 9.3 TurboX clone, modified, whatever you want to call it. This car it's beyond a hoot and a half. It's a hoot and 3/4. It's, it's glorious. It's beautiful. That's the word. That's the word I'm looking for. You did good. You did very, very good. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.